Hi, it's Dwyer, dwyercrime.blog. Just a few comments on Adnan Syed having his sentence reduced by a judge. But first, remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Folks, I just want to make sure that people understand, especially since I've made some prior videos here online, that I firmly continue to believe that Adnan Syed committed this terrible murder. Let's remember that a young woman lost her life. She didn't even get the opportunity to live past high school. I want people to understand Syed's defense was, in essence, that the black guy nearby, right, Jay Wiles, was the real killer, right? That's what they were hinting at. I want people to understand, too, just the level of deception. Understand, he's been criminally convicted. He has not been exonerated, right? Well-meaning people, podcasters, family members, thought that they saw an injustice here, and they went out of their way to try to correct that injustice, to try to get Adnan freed, right? Just contemplate what that means if Adnan knows that he did this terrible crime, right? It means that he went out and killed his ex-girlfriend, right? And then engaged in a campaign of misinformation and deception to get others to try to get him freed, right? He's 43. Hae Min Lee didn't get the opportunity to live the last, 40% of her life from 43 on, as Adnan is going to get. So when I see situations like this, and I hope I'm wrong, I really do. But when I see situations like this, I see a psychopath who lacks empathy for others, who is gonna revert to who he is down the road, right? In other words, I know he, is now supposedly religious, and he, has found, a spiritual entity, and he, is devout in his faith and what have you, right? This isn't the first, guy who has, decided to embrace his spirituality in prison that I've heard of, right? I believe the reality is a bit different here, right? I believe this is a guy who's been conning people for a long period of time. Go back through his history. It's not just the homicide, right? This guy supposedly, according to reports, was engaged in some deception concerning financial matters related to his church, right? I think this is a guy, and I don't care about, him having great grades in high school. Lord knows. I've known people who had great grades who had real problems, right? Folks, this is a guy with real problems. Let's all keep an eye on him now that he's out of prison for a crime I believe he committed, right? I've watched shows on HBO and stuff like that where they're, making pleas for this guy's innocence. I understand that people will point out that critics like me are mispronouncing his name and, stuff like that. Folks, I want the focus to always be on the facts, right? This guy has no real alibi. This guy is doing things around the time of the murder he had never done before. He barely knows this Jay guy, right? He's lending, Jay his car and things like that. Um, let's just say there are many people who you think you know in high school who you don't really know, right? The structure of high school is such that you're only seeing people in controlled settings, right? The two of you are in class together. The two of you are in the lunchroom together, right? You know the same people. You don't understand that the thought process might be different, right? You're dating someone, you think it's understood that both of you have the rest of your lives ahead of you, and that, if it doesn't work out, you wish her well. And then you realize other people have other views. That if they can't have the girl they want, no one can. Right? We understand that Hay was seeing someone else. We understand that Adnan was heartbroken. Right, folks? That's no justification, not even close, for him to take her life. Right? I think when you look at the testimony of third parties, not just Jay, but other third parties involved, it sinks. Right? When you look at all of this, right, just understand that Adnan has beaten the system. He committed a murder, right, that he planned. This isn't a manslaughter situation. No, this is a plan that involved leaving his victim in the trunk of a car. Right? He planned a murder. He committed the murder. He's now a free man at 43. I understand he has supporters. Folks, I personally don't think this guy is going to be able to hold it together outside of prison. Right? I'm just telling you, empathy is a brake on aberrant behavior. In other words, you think to yourself, wow, I want to do this. Then you stop and you think, is this fair to the other people involved? Right? You actually have a conscience. You are talking to someone and you realize, you know what? I need to tell this person the truth. Because I want them to tell me the truth, and I want our relationship to be a truthful relationship. Right? I'm just telling you, and I'm serious about this. Right? I've dealt with psychos in my life. I'm not going to get into detail. They don't have that thought process. Right? They just don't. Having a conscience is a foreign concept to them. Right? Here you just had a guy do one of the worst crimes imaginable. Right? Not just a murder, but a planned murder. Right? You understand too. The person this guy killed was someone he loved. Someone he dated. Right? Let's see how this unfolds in the years to come. He's a free man at 43. Right? I'm just telling you, there are many cases out there where someone has gotten a break like this, and reverts back to aberrant behavior, right? I understand he has a lot of supporters. To his supporters, if you want to, leave comments in the comment section as to why you firmly believe that Adnan is innocent. If you want to tell us who actually killed Hay, please feel free to leave your theory in the comment section of this YouTube video. Folks, I've believed, as people here know, looking at these prior videos of mine, I've believed for years, that the police had the right guy, that the jury got it right? The outcry has led to a judge commuting his sentence. Understand, folks, that's not an exoneration. Those are my thoughts. Let me hear yours in the comment section of this YouTube video. Thanks for stopping by.